Cannabis federal legalization. Will it happen in 2023? As it turns out, it's already starting to move forward. Over the past 2 weeks, the holiday season, I kind of just checked out a little bit. It's my time to take a break. I've been gearing up towards some form of cannabis federal legalization. Obviously, in the beginning part of December, we had a lot of hope. But of course, Congress couldn't get anything done. And it's something I've kind of been wishy-washy on. If they can get it done, great. If not, there's something else. And here's what I've been looking at, and something that when you kind of put the pieces together, what is possible going forward for 2023 in cannabis federal legalization, we're probably not going to see what you think we're going to see. Most of us just have this generic bumper sticker, cannabis federal legalization 2023. Biden isn't going to do that, I don't think. Instead, there's something else that has a much higher probability. First off, I give Biden a high probability event that this is going to happen. But what exactly is going to happen? And once I started thinking this through, chopping it up with some friends of mine, asking you like, I'm thinking this, and this is how I'm going to play this, and this. We kind of saw the writing on the wall and realized what he's probably going to do. Go through the scheduling 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then the pseudo 6. 6 means there's no scheduling whatsoever. Where would cannabis adult use be? It's really kind of this weird area where you don't know. But let's look at something different. What about cannabis medical? All of a sudden, you're looking at an entirely different category. 33 states plus DC plus Puerto Rico have medical cannabis in some form or another on the books in their states. When you go through the scheduling process, you look for how to obtain product. And one of the criteria is that there's some kind of government entity that is looking after a licensing process. That it's not just at your local 7-Eleven or the corner of the 7-Eleven. And it started making sense to me that all of a sudden, Biden is probably very likely to federally shift medical cannabis. There's a synthetic cannabis that has been on the books since 1986. It's Schedule 3. My belief is that we will see something occur scheduling medical cannabis in either 3, 4, or 5. I'm actually pulling for 5. But the thing is, keep in mind that to get medical cannabis, you need a doctor's prescription, usually, and you have to go to a dispensary. So this creates a framework by which the federal government can work in. I began thinking about that, and I thought, you know what? Biden's going to legalize medical. He's not even going to mention adult use. This is still a huge victory. And here's the reason why. 2 companies, Canopy Growth and the company that they're acquiring, and IIPR. Keep these in mind when you're kind of putting these pieces together. Canopy Growth is trying to acquire a U.S. company. Canopy Growth is a Canadian company. They are publicly traded up on the NASDAQ here in the United States. But in Canada, they are 100% federally legal. But the company they're trying to, of course, acquire has no federal legalization simply because it's not federally legal here in the United States. So the proposition to NASDAQ was simple. Listen, we'll put everything into a holding company, let them trim their bud, do their thing, raise the people, and then we'll just basically send them a bill every month and gain our profits that way. It's a holding company. Initially, NASDAQ said, sure, that sounds fine. We're cool with that. Then they're like, hold on, pump the brakes a little bit. Let's see what's going on here. Let's dig a little deeper. Still haven't moved forward on that, but nonetheless, it gives them a framework by which Canopy Growth can come in and acquire a U.S. company and keep their NASDAQ listings. IIPR, Innovative Industrial Properties. they're a REIT here in the United States, acting as exactly the same way Canopy Growth is already trying to put together. Innovative Industrial Properties goes in, acquires a whole building, tools it up for a cannabis producer, leases it back to them. They are a holding company, effectively. They don't care what happens inside that building. They hold the building, they charge the rent. They're listed on NASDAQ. So you can start to see that this process actually makes sense. Let's say federal legalization for cannabis in 2023 happens, and they do it medically. Trulieve, AYR Wellness, to name two, who are in Florida. Trulieve is an excellent example. Immediately, they're federally legal. Because there's a process of the individuals that first, Trulieve has to go out and get a licensing from the state of Florida, which they have already done. Second, in order for you to step into the door of that dispensary, you need your medical card, prescription, whatever, however they do it in Florida. But Canopy owns, or Trulieve just bought Harvest Health out of, about a year ago, out of Arizona, who is not medical. So what would Trulieve need to do to get their banking uplist and be copacetic with everybody? Put Harvest Health into a holding company, mimicking what Innovative Industrial Properties is already doing and Canopy Growth is already doing. Kind of a workaround. When you start putting these pieces together of what Biden would most likely do, this makes a lot of sense. I honestly don't think they're going to bring up adult use at all. That they're going to come back and say medical should be here. And it makes sense because of X, Y, and Z. And the truth is, I could buy into that. It's a small little punt on their part, but that's it. All these companies start scrambling, moving left, right, whatever. All of a sudden they have one strain. The ones that aren't medical now have a strain, and then they're shifting the way they do business. And then they have access to more capital in different ways. Republicans, 33 states have some form of cannabis. But if Biden comes up and says, listen, medical, we're cool with it. Those Republicans in the Senate and, of course, the House, but the House doesn't seem to have an issue with cannabis, all of a sudden can sit there and say, not on my watch. Wait a minute, what did you just do? Could probably live with that. That's my crusty old version of a really old white Republican. But you get the point. That it's a small punt down the road, one big step, huge victory for cannabis stocks, of course. The short squeeze would be immeasurable with almost zero collateral damage. No one can sit there and say, I cannot believe what you just did. Biden will have been able to turn to all of America and say, I just legalized cannabis. Yeah, you did, but you really didn't. But you did. Over the next 3, 6, 9, 12, 18 months, this is the only thing I'm playing for. And I am going all in. I've talked about buying some options and things like this. I'm going to do a whole nother video on that. I got a whole lot of questions and a whole lot of feedback on that. Like, that is what I'm doing. But some guys and girls did not really kind of understand that. I've explained it. I sat down. I actually opened up a Robinhood account so I could walk someone through. My guys, and he's like as skeptical as they come, but he's sitting there saying, yeah, something's definitely going to happen. I could see that. And he could see the whole process, and he's going to go in. And he's one who doesn't really kind of go in on these, but he sees the writing on the wall. So I opened up a Robinhood account just so I can answer his questions. Threw a couple $100 in there. I'll play that, and I'll show you guys what I'm doing on there just so you can kind of keep it up. I'll do that video coming up. A couple things. or at least this one big thing. This is not all going to happen in one day. I expect Biden to step forward, just like he did in October, and catch the whole market off guard and say, our administration's position on cannabis is this. Mind you, in October, he pardoned a whole bunch of people and he commanded HHS and DOJ to look at the scheduling for cannabis, which they are doing and are doing as expeditiously as possible. There are 22 months left until Biden asks the American people for one more term as President of the United States. He is going to want to have this 100% concluded September, October 2024. I was joking about that before, but now all of a sudden I'm realizing it's probably perfect timing. But it all doesn't happen in one day. Biden's probably going to come out in the next, say, 1 to 5 months and say, this is the administration's policy. This is where we stand on cannabis. If you have a prescription and you go to a dispensary, we're 100% for it. That is a regulated environment, and we like that. Next thing you're going to be looking for, HHS, to turn around and say, we believe this about cannabis based on all this information that we've been examining. And because of that, we're going to recommend this scheduling. Number one. Number two, we are going to take this for comment, which is just a bunch of people sitting around listening to a bunch of people that they don't care about. Their minds are already made up. Then they take that and they send it to DOJ, or the DEA, DOJ, who effectively has already shrugged their shoulders on it and basically said, just do it. They're already ignoring the entire industry. What is it, like a $15 billion industry right now? DOJ's doing nothing. Then finally, Biden will sign the executive order, and I expect that because of the time that it takes to do all these steps, that's just going to be mysteriously really close to the election. But in the process, we're going to see fits and starts with cannabis stocks. Cannabis stocks are going to fly higher. Short sellers are going to step right back in and push it right back down. Something else is going to happen. People are going to start rushing in, pushing cannabis stocks up again. Short sellers are going to stop right back in and start stuffing things down. Eventually, short sellers are going to lose out big, really big. The short squeeze is going to be huge, but it's not going to happen in one period of time. It's going to be starts and starts and starts. Up, down, up even more, not down so much, until finally all those shorts are cleared out. And all the other Robinhood traders have rushed in to buy all those cannabis stocks. Then, of course, there's a couple more kind of long-term movements within the cannabis industry. First off, probably one of the bigger things is that big funds, retirement funds, and things like this can now step in and start acquiring cannabis stocks, buying on the dips, buying the support, trying to get that 25% increase year over year in revenue, which is far bigger than the broader stock market. I expect things to start happening sometime soon. No idea when, but this is pretty much what I'm playing for in 2023. That we'll probably be seeing something happen within the first 5 months or so, just before summertime. Then we'll probably see something take about 6 to 9 months thereafter, then another 3 to 6 months, then a signature by Biden. I'm looking for Biden to specifically target medical cannabis, rescheduling it, and then all of a sudden there's a huge shift in the industry. This is very palatable by just about anybody. No one can really declare victory. No one can really declare a loss either. But it's just enough and all that we really need. And this is what I'm playing for all throughout 2023. I'll keep you guys up to date. See you in the next video.